So guys, this is part two. This is thought mastery, right? And this is basically going to take that one thing that you need to process or reframe or work through, right? Because there's no result that you can achieve, that you can't achieve, or that you can achieve, that's not on the other side of this inner work, right? A lot of times, especially in the coaching field, we think, okay, because I've done a lot of the work, because I've heard a lot of the information, it must be something else that's going to get me there. There must be something else. But it's not. It's always the inner work first, right? And then sprinkled on top with some sort of new strategy, right? All of those things work. And so do all these strategies. They all work. It depends on what resonates with you, right? So if there's any block, we look in first. Always, always, right? The only time it's not inward is when maybe we're not just pressing the right button on the screen and we're not making the post that's inviting the client in. And it's that small, right? But 99% of the time, it's something internal. So take the one thing. If you have 4 different things, that's fine. If there's more than that, that's fine. If there's only one thing, one belief, I don't believe that I can charge more. I don't believe I'm good at sales. I don't believe I'm healed from my past. I don't believe I'm worthy of a boyfriend, a girlfriend. I don't believe that I can go to the gym every day. I think I'm lazy, right? Whatever it is, whatever you found out about yourself, you identify that one thing. I'm going to work you through a process right now to totally break through it and be thankful for it and move forward so we can actually start getting to some fun, and this is fun too, but some fun, cool work on top of all of this. So number one, you ask yourself, okay, is this thing, is this thought, is this belief actually 100% true about me? And what about that thing must I believe in order to be thinking that thought? All right, so what about that thing, circumstance, person, past, event, result, outcome must I believe? How am I defining it? What am I believing about it to make me be thinking this thing about me, to be telling this story about me? So take a minute to reflect on that. You can pause it if you want, but what must I believe about this thing to be thinking this thought, right? Once you have that belief, is that empirically true about that thing? Is that empirically true about the event? Is it empirically true that because I was cheated on, that I'm not worth having a loyal, good, happy, healthy relationship? Is that true? Is that 100% true? Why? Right? Why? So if you feel like it's not true, because a lot of times you're like, well, I know it's not, but, right? That means you're attached to it. So then you ask yourself, okay, I know it's not true, but I'm holding on to it. And that means you're holding on to it because it's more painful to let it go than it is to hold on. It means it's serving you in some way. So you ask yourself a second question. Why is the opposite? Why is letting this go actually more scary than holding on to it? Ask yourself that question, right? You're always going to find that you'll find fallacy. No negative belief can fully make sense, right? That's why it uses all these tricks like blame and guilt and shame and all this stuff, because it has to do that to hide its non-true nature, right? So am I attached to it? Well, why is it so scary? Why is the opposite so scary? How is this actually serving me, right? From there, you ask yourself, is this true? Oh, right. And even if it's true, then you ask this, okay, even if it's true and that does happen, the thing that I'm afraid of happening does happen, is it bad? Second question. So what must I believe? Is it true? Am I attached? Next, if it did actually happen, would it be bad? Would it be bad if this actually happened? If I got cheated on again, is that bad? Why is that bad? Right? Because you're defining the situation. If I did a sales call and I got rejected again, why is that bad? Because you're defining it in a way that makes you a bad person if that happens, makes you less than if it happens. It implies something negative to you. And is that true, right? So why is it actually bad if it happened? It's never bad, right? Let me just give you a hint. There's nothing that can happen that's bad. It's only the thoughts that we associate, the stories that we tell about them that create that feeling of it being bad. Right? So can it be bad? No. Is it bad? No. If it did happen and somehow it even was bad, last question, are my needs met? Will my needs be met? Will I be able to eat, drink, survive, sleep? The basics. Will my needs be met? Chances are yes, they will always be met. Why? Because in this moment, in this now, they're met. There's no future, there's no past. So far, up to this video, they've always been met. So they're never not going to be met. We can just assume that. Okay, so you're going to be fine regardless. So right now, there should be a weight lifted off your shoulders. You can take all of these beliefs and thoughts and just run them through that filter to feel the release, right? To see it in a different way. Now, part 2 of that, right, because we can't just leave it in the past. We have to focus on the future. We have to focus on what we want. So once we do that work, we feel better about it. We feel like we've released it. The second part is you ask yourself, okay, that belief that I discovered about myself that wasn't true, what was it? Was it, I'm not worthy, I'm not this, I'm not that, I can't sell good, I'm not making the money, it's not showing up, it's hard. What was the belief, right? You take the opposite of that. The opposite of the stressful thoughts that I had, that I just ran through this thing. I just ran through this filter, this process, right? Take those stressful thoughts or beliefs and take the opposite, either use words or phrases and take the opposite and ask yourself, right? Say it was, the word was disempowered. Yeah, I just feel, I'm disempowered. Or it was anxiety, right? I just have anxiety when I do that, and I believe I'm a person that has anxiety. So what would the opposite of anxiety, maybe the word empowered would be a good word for that. Or confident, let's use confident. So I'm anxious. What would the confident version of me, how would the confident version of me respond to that thing that happened, this thing that is happening, my circumstances now? How would my empowered self respond? What would my empowered self do? When you do this, when you start thinking about how your future self would start thinking about the things and the challenges or the past events and stories that you're experiencing right now that you're living in, when you start thinking about that future self in this moment, you bring that reality to the now, and your frontal cortex, your frontal lobe, starts activating because you have to be creative. Creativity is located in the gamma frequency. So you're literally getting into a gamma state, which is the genius state, which is the flow state. And in this moment, you can access so much more thought, so much more creativity. So it's in this moment where you allow all that in, this future self, which is really just who you really are, right, into this moment, and you allow yourself to make new choices. I'll tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to jump off here. When I did this for the first time, it was about money. And I was thinking about my $10,000 a month self in a moment where I wanted to spend a lot of money for a smoothie. So I was driving home from the gym. I was feeling great, super aligned, listening to music, just had a great workout, coming home, singing. I look over and I see LA Press, one of my favorite smoothie places in LA. Their smoothies are like 16 or 17 bucks. It's like, shit, this is an expensive smoothie. And, I'm doing all right now, but I'm not really where I want to be. So I had this thought. My first thought, which is usually the true thought, I looked over at the juicery and I said, man, I want that right now. And then the critic came in and said, wait, you shouldn't be spending 17 bucks on a smoothie. And then I asked myself, in that moment, I became aware of that thought. And this takes practice. I became aware of that thought and I took a breath. Okay, if I knew 110% that $10,000 a month was coming in, right? If scarcity was my word, then abundant would be my new word. How would my abundant self respond? And my definition of abundance in that moment was if I was making $10,000 a month, that would make me feel abundant, right? Even though I felt abundant before that, which is why I made a new choice, right? So I'm in that moment. How would my abundant self, knowing that $10,000 a month was coming in, how would I act? How would I respond? Would I get the juice? And I checked in with myself and I said, is this coming from a place of scarcity right now or abundance? Me wanting this. Like, am I buying this smoothie to fill a void because I'm not happy right now? Is it consumerism, right? Or am I buying it just as a preference because it tastes good and I want it and it's good for me and it's good for my body? And that was it. That was my truth in that moment. So I wanted to buy it because it was good for me and it tastes good and I wanted it and I was hungry. So I did a U-turn right there, then and there, definitely illegal. And I went right in and I added so much stuff, it came out to like 20 bucks, right? And it was such a great smoothie. And guess what? I felt so amazing from it. Some of this is in my wealth and like healing your money wound training that I'm going to give you guys towards the end. But in that moment, I felt so good about holding my money and giving my money, holding the money and giving the money away. I felt so good about giving it away. I felt better about giving it away than holding on to it, right? Which means what? if I feel better about giving it away, I can guarantee that it's going to come back in increasing quantities. That's the secret to mastering money. And I'm going to talk about this in a whole other video. So I gave that away because I knew I was spending money on something that was aligned with my values, which is health, right? And feeling good, feeling energized. So I made the payment and I got the smoothie and I felt so good. And I was like, that's who I really am. That's me right there. It's those small choices on a daily basis which brings that future self into reality. My abundant self, what else would my abundant self do in a day? What else would my confident self do in a day? What else would my healed self, my excited self, my healthy self do in a day? And I started asking those questions, and I started doing my taxes more diligently. I started saving my receipts because if I was making $10,000 a month, I need to have all that figured out. Oh man, my social media would have to change if I was doing that. My website would have to change if I was doing that. I'd have to be positioned a little different out there. And I got so creative. So allow your imagination to create the version of you that's aligned with the future you and start implementing those new choices today. And even if it feels uncomfortable, that's just your nervous system holding on to old beliefs saying, wait, this is different. This is different. And what we were doing before was safe because it was the same that you did yesterday. And you're fighting 30 million years of evolution when it comes to dealing with your body and your nervous system. And your nervous system is just an extension of your subconscious mind. So you're dealing with 30 million years of the most scared humans in the world that have passed on their genes. Think about that. You are the end result of 30 million years of the most scared humans to ever live. So it's so normal when you start making these new choices to be afraid, to not trust, to not surrender. But that's when you have to do it the most. That's when you have to trust. That's when the new thoughts come up. You have to take it through that thought mastery process again and again and again. You might do that 20 times a day. What am I believing about this? Is it true? Is it bad? Right? Even if it's bad, are my needs met? Yes. So right? So what would the new version of me think? Oh, this. Okay, so what's the new choice? Oh, that. That's how you create rapid change until that becomes a new habit of thought. This is gold. Gold, gold, gold. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Right? This is our very first assignment. Do a video, do a Facebook Live or record a video, either one, and post any breakthroughs, right? Because this is a group where we all need to help each other. We all need to share our experience because your experience is going to be a better teacher than me, right? So share your experience from this first video and the second video, any shifts that you had, any breakthroughs that you had, and regardless if you had any breakthroughs or not, make the video and introduce yourself and share what you learned, what you took away, any shifts or breakthroughs that you had from video 1 and video 2. All right, your next assignment will be posted tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys soon.